Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial, bringing you coverage of the LJL 2020 Summer Split Finals, featuring V3 Esports facing off against Detonation FocusMe. Gentlemen, Game 4 is upon us. V3 took the first one. Detonation FocusMe have had a decisive victory in the last 2 rounds. Where does this put us, gentlemen? It's hard to figure this out now. I came in expecting V3 to win. Now I'm not so sure anymore. I'm doubting myself, and I don't like to do this.
DFM are one of the most storied teams in the whole of the LJL, and they're on the verge of picking up a 5th consecutive LJL championship. They have been winning in its entirety since 2018 summer. And V3 are staring down the barrel of a loaded gun right now, and they need to prove to me they have what it takes to take a fight to beat DFM.
Yeah, Detonation FocusMe have been winning since the LJL even started. They picked up the grand finals all the way back in 2014. This is a team, and this is with Ceros and Utopon on there. These are players who've played and won the LJL since when it had its first championships.
So long ago, that was Utopon top, I think.
I think it was actually, yes. God, it's been a while. What do you do now if you are the newer players? If you're Archer, if you are the V3 squad, what do you do now? I don't feel like the players are tilted. They're just making minor mistakes, which DFM are just capitalizing on.
I know Nightmare's got something, but there's just one more thing I do want to call out, and I've got to say, pick me something that Ace can impact the rest of the map with. That Orianna did 6,000 damage that game versus Sarah 16,000. Like, the rest of his team had 10,000 damage on him. The Lilia had 11,000 damage on him. Like, that is not good enough from an Orianna that went for full shockwave damage.
It's not. It's really not. Go on, Nightmare. What have you got to say?
So from my perspective, the bot lane of V3 have to back themselves. They have to pick something which is really, really lane dominant. I want to see Kalista, in fact, actually. I think Archer has been one of the remaining Kalista players in the LJL, and he's damn good at it. I think I'd like to see that. I don't know if it's something which is necessarily going to be banned by DFM. You could pick it up in a later stage of the draft. You can maybe let it fall through a fair amount. Question is, what's Reiner going to feel comfortable on? Is he going to go back to something like the Nautilus or the Thresh? There's been banned away a couple of times, and he's played that one Thresh and that loss in game 2, but I need to see that happen. Because actually, Boogie's been playing fine. I think that, and often the core of V3 is Reiner and Boogie playing well enough to stabilize the rest of the map with their playmaking capabilities, and Reiner is suddenly missing out of that duo.
I mean, this is really problematic. We've said it before, right? That V3... what happens if their bot lane doesn't crush lane? And, they're getting pressure in lane, don't get me wrong. That's the joys of running something like an Ashe, having the Pantheon to threaten squishy people like a Bard. But if you aren't crushing lane, are V3 suddenly looking like a team a bit lost, a bit without a rudder? And it is getting a bit scary here.
Yeah, this is a spot where Reiner might need to switch over to something like the set we'd seen historically from him at the beginning of summer. He could also just play something like the Lux support, which we saw from him versus Sengoku, which was very dominant. Lux is a very controlling champion, and if you land a bind, there's a chance, especially with the Kalista alongside you, you could get some big burst damage out effectively.
This is why we've been talking about support counter pick. If you pick Lux before Gang has picked his champion, he's just going to pick Blitzcrank into you or something like that. It's going to be really, really awful.
He does play Blitz as well.
He plays a number of different champions. We've seen all of the top supports. We've seen, I think Proud played it as well, but Grendel and a number of others have played the Lux support. Maybe that's something they can go towards. There's a whole lot of options they could go towards. I wonder if a different identity of composition would help V3 just reset their mental, because of course if they're playing the similar kind of composition with the Lilia fishing for engages and then trying to play around this Pantheon engaging into it, I wonder if sticking in that mindset is just unhelpful for them now, because they have lost 2 games against the head.
I mean, my issue is that they're basically saying, like, we have certain things we need to ban. We cannot give up the Heimerdinger, we cannot give up the Renekton, we cannot give up the Leona. But the problem is there are other picks that they are currently unable to deal with. Like, they've struggled with the Shen when they don't have the Scion. The Nico from Saros is problematic. Utopon's picked up so many AD carries and all of them are working just fine. Like, what do you drop to find something new? Because the tech from V3 that was supposed to throw a curveball hasn't been working.
And I have to do it on red side, so...
Yeah, and that was the problem for them moving into this. They had blue side. Obviously, Detonation FocusMe definitely aren't going to be choosing red side because they know just how important the pick and ban phase is for both of them. Exactly, yeah. This Leona has been shown to be a huge problem for them. Gentlemen, let's find out who is going to become victorious. The pick and ban phase has started. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mass Swan. We might be at the precipice of another DFM victory, but it's not done yet. We've got at least another game to play, and V3 have got to pull out some magic here to pull us to silver scrapes. They have changed the bans up entirely. Caitlyn goes through, so does Renekton, and that means that Ebby on the blue side here is debating a first pick of that champion, but that means that Caitlyn will go straight through.
Caitlyn will go straight through. Also, you don't get to pick up Renekton Nidalee just yet. I wonder... Yeah, I'm going to pick the Caitlyn. It is something which used upon demolished CGA on. Demolished them. It was not even pretty. I wonder if this is a Renekton Nidalee lock-in from V3. It could just be the Ashe again. But Archer, I know this is the laning matchup of choice for most AD carries into the Caitlyn,
Yes,
but Archer has also not been his usual self. He's not been the guy who's been doing huge damage numbers, flashing forwards aggressively. He's been struggling to make an impact in team fights. I would have, like I said, maybe you could play something like the Callista into it. You have the Jhin available too, but either way, the Ashe will be the port of call for V3. DFM lock in the Nidalee away from the Renekton.
So, Steel's back on his Nidalee. He has been, frankly, pretty damn good on this champion. I think he's played it pretty much every game, hasn't he? I don't think there's been anything new from him on that one. Has matched Boogie's farm numbers at the very least, and has been matching him, frankly, in plays as well. It's been an interesting one to watch. The Azir hover comes out and is immediately locked in. I know you've been wanting Seros to play that a little bit more. With the Nico band, Seros finally says, okay, I'll show you something new.
Right, so for those of you who are tuning into this series after not having watched the LJL since something like Worlds last year, where Seros was just playing Heimerdinger or Ziggs or weird champions, there has always been a question about Seros' champion pool. Particularly, he never played Zoe or LeBlanc when they were very strong too. The one meta champion which he's really been successful on has been the Azir, though. And speaking of the old devil, Zoe's been locked in, a champion which has always been that thorn in the side of DFM's draft phase. It's going to be Azir versus Zoe.
Ace's Zoe has been mercurial. At points, it has been absolutely incredible. Some of the roams he's pulled off from that champion have broken games. In others, he's been very quiet, fallen behind in damage and CS. They're pulling it out here. Caitlyn's still locked in, and there's a Volibear band away from Ebby, who has gone towards that when he's been called away from Shen duty. It's the Evelyn ban again versus Boogie, who was also notoriously good at that champion, even if it's never come out on stage.
The thing is, DFM don't exactly have themselves any initiation right now.
No,
so
they
probably
don't.
looking towards that support role for it. But the Ebby, in terms of his initiation champions, that has been the Volibear. V3 batting away the Morgana for away from the Caitlyn. I wonder if that opens the door for the Nautilus. Still, now V3 will have themselves last pick, counter pick. What are they going to save that for? And the Blitzcrank banned away from Reina.
Oh, with a Blitzcrank ban, what does that suggest to you, Nymera? I wonder whether a Sentinel Lady Luminosity might be rearing her head for ganging that bot side. V3 were wondering about a Graves, they're wondering about a Lilia. Both, I think, could work here, but I'll be curious. I think both have been pretty good champions for Boogie. He hasn't found the game-winning play on Lilius, but his damage numbers has been pretty good.
Boogie has not been the problem.
No.
He has not been the issue. He has still been finding routes into the game and making sure plays can be made, particularly onto Ebby on the sideline of that last game. He was managing to find picks there, and then the rest of his team would die because DFM capitalized on the numbers advantage somewhere else on the map. V3 have been losing as a team, and sometimes losing as individuals. Boogie is not that one, though.
Won't be Lux, as I was wondering about. Instead, we'll be back to the Bard for gang. It's a little bit harder engaged with the Tempered Fate particularly. And, of course, you get to set up traps so beautifully underneath the giant golden team you create. And that might be our first look at Ebby's Gnar here as well. Shen's still up and available, so I'm kind of a little surprised. But it will be a bit more split push pressure and a lot of siege from this squad.
Ebby's Gnar was the pick in World's playing stage, which Ebby solo killed Viztachi and DFM beat Splice with last year. It's not been a pick he's really used much this year. He's been going more towards different stuff. It's going to be up against Paz's Renekton, and Reina does go towards the Nautilus. We talked about what does he go towards for comfort. This is certainly one of those picks.
DFM have got themselves full lane priority picks here. The Azir, the Caitlyn Bard is pretty damn good at that. On the other side, though, V3 have their own ways to get on top of people. Flash Ruthless Predator from the Lex for Renekton. The Nautilus with all of his hard CC. Ash Arrow. Utapon running the cleanse, I think, is a very necessary precaution for the AD carry.
And I also think we're probably going to see a first item Mikhail's out of gang again. And at that point, I think Utapon's just going to have his same performance he showed against CGA on this Caitlyn. He's just going to kite back, get huge damage. This guy has been really good this split. He's definitely up there, being contender for MVP of the entirety of the LJL Summer 2020, even though DFM had that really middling regular split.
Yeah.
Utapon was not the guy who was suffering on that team. It was often Ebby or even Gang himself really falling down. Now that they've all stepped back up, Utapon is still playing at that same level, and hopefully he'll be supported enough to bring DFM their victory, at least if you're a DFM fan.
Indeed, but V3 have changed up their draft, but they've also forced DFM to do the same. It's Ebby off Shen, it's Gang onto the Bard again, but Seros is off the Nico, which is perhaps a bigger one. The only issue is that this terror of the bot lane, Caitlyn has gone through to DFM, and Utapon has kind of earned his stripes on this champion. He has forced bans because they are a Caitlyn team.
Yep.
And there have been a number of conversations from the, people saying, like, if you don't play Caitlyn, you don't deserve to go to Worlds.
And the thing about DFM is that even before Caitlyn, they were a team that would play Aphelios High Mediga and zone you out of the river. They would just play the pseudo-siege style and just beat you in the tug-of-war around objectives. Caitlyn, that is a complete champion identity. That's what she does around a lot of these pushing lanes into objectives with the traps and everything. DFM are more than practiced enough at this style of composition, and it also helps that Utapon's just very good at the champion's mechanics.
Only thing I'll say is that while DFM have got great siege, great objective control, they don't have the easiest forms of engage. They're looking for maybe Seros to go for a shuffle, maybe Ebby to get in with that Mega Nart, Tempered Freight from Gang, but all of those are a little bit conditional. It's not like you can just press a button like you can on a Nautilus and just immediately have a depth charge come out, and could be a little scary for DFM, especially considering they're not got the most consistent front line as well.
No, I think V3 are going to play a lot of this game around the X factor of the double sleeps, trying to check the swirl seeds and the sleepy trouble bubbles down. If you have a Nautilus hook aiding you in that affair, that's also really good. You can get a lot of picks with a huge amount of burst damage coming out from that. Are they going to spot the ward? They do. I'm going to clear that out. And it looks like Boogie is heading in for a Raptor steal on the Lilia. Probably one of the best champions in the game at doing that.
You can see that Steel has started topside, and Utapon and Gang will go right. Time to get the wave shove started, because the bot lane has decided they're going to go help out with that invade. So we want level 2 as fast as we can. And they've just hard shoved, pilt over Peacemaker, and of course the Cosmic Binding came through. Wave is gone, it's straight in tower.
Wait, do they actually lose a minion? Do they lose the XP? I think they're going to get in range for that, so it won't... Oh, it's going to be close. No, they did. They actually did. Well played by DFM to know that was on the cards, and now the early level 2 will be going over to DFM as opposed to V3.
This is the terror of a Caitlyn, right? If she gets to play the early levels of the game up at the enemy tower, get onto those turret platings, you can be absolutely put under the cosh.
And also, look, Utapon's actually not even gone for the fleet footwork, went for the lethal tempo, very aggressive, thinking, hey, I don't need the extra sustain or the extra move speed, I just want the DPS, give me the damage. And with the lane starting off pretty well for them, let's see how that works out.
See the wards here from V3 to spot out this Nidalee as she comes roaming around through the jungle. She will be spotted out, of course, coming through this Raptor bush now. That will at least give V3 some clue about what's going on there.
It's the last piece in the bargain bucket.
Yeah, and that's the use of the sweeper as well. So he knows he's been spotted, and that's information both ways. They don't necessarily know where Lilia is, though, which is a big deal.
In the mid lane, Saros getting the early poke trades over Ace, who does have a corrupting pot, but Saros with the Comet as a build does mean that the early lane is pretty strong from that champion.
And you can see that is some impressive stats on Nidalee for the entirety of the 2020 summer. 73% kill participation on something like a Nidalee as well is actually very impressive to do.
Exactly. Still running into Boogie, does have the red buff as opposed to just the blue buff. Boogie does not have enough damage or, of course, any of the CC Really lock down the Nidalee and force anything special.
That was an interesting juke from the Skull Crab into
Ooh.
the Dragon Pit here, but here come the rest of V3. They want to fight. This Archer's going to be a bit late to the party, though. Utapon is already here. Seros is as well. It is a 3v4 for now. Reiner taken so low. That's the pounce in, but he can't quite get it flash out now from Steel, but Boogie is in trouble. He's caught along the wrong side of the wall, has to flash out as well. That is the Piltover Peacemaker going wide, but Ace survives the Cosmic Binding over the wall. Archer desperate to get away, but they get out of vision. Everyone survives, but that's flashes from a lot of people there. Steel burns his, but V3 burn a lot.
I think that's 2 flashes from Ace and Boogie, a heal from Archer. It's Reiner with the Ignite, and also his flash from, so it's the Ignite and the flash from Reiner, and the heal from Archer. So that's a whole load of summoners burned from V3, trying to contest the Scuttle. And remember, against Sengoku in that lower bracket final, they were the ones winning the Scuttle trade, winning that kind of early skirmish. DFM once again taking control of the river, and a lot of it is due to the early game laning phase of this Caitlyn and Bard.
They don't get the kills, though, so V3 can breathe a sigh of relief on that, but there's a lot of those tools that are down. Ace had to teleport back into lane as well, so that's down early, not the best back for him. And there is room for DFM to punish, but they've got to find something, or those summoners are going to mean nothing.
Exactly. But now V3, who maybe feel like the emphasis is on them to make a play because, of course, they're down in the series and they want to secure themselves a lead, so they don't have the tools to do that. Ace lands asleep, and he's just using it to deny minions from Seros. That is so unkind. I know I've had that happen to me a lot. I'm just there like, oh, is he going to take it? No, he's not even using it for HP. He's using it just to deny minions.
And it's just like, and Seros like, why are you doing this?
Why is Zoe a champion? That's the better question. That's the real question.
That is a question. I know you have your problems. I think you started playing Zoe a bit recently.
No.
Didn't Blueby make you? Okay, never mind.
No.
We will not talk about our own social lives, but I was under the impression I was finally convinced to play a little Zoe.
Yes, I was convinced by my streams chat to play a game of Zoe, and it was awful. So I will hope to learn something from Ace this game. That's what I do this for. You know, I use it to better myself. Hopefully Ace will come out with some big plays, and he has had some big plays, particularly against the Jesters. He had that huge double kill roaming play, which made it onto the top 5 LJL official streams plays across this split. And speaking of big plays, waiting for the next real big play to happen. Dragon's up. Harold won't be up for another 2 and a bit minutes. We are waiting with bated breath to see where these teams head next.
Okay, so it is a slight gold lead to DFM, but nothing to write home about. That's probably mostly looking at that bot lane advantage, which is about 10 CS right now at the minute, honestly, but there's still a wave to catch, so that'll even up a certain amount, and Utapon gets a first back, and behold the BF sword by.
So Caitlyn's got a really good back in terms of where they want to do in terms of the gold. See what Ash is going to build on the first back. It's actually yes, we're finally going to get necessary for Ash. It's going to happen at the turn of the
the dawn of the fourth game. It's not fifth quite yet, but Gandalf would at least be proud he's turned up a little early.
I'm actually so happy with that. Oh, I'm glad, because Archer has needed to do a lot more damage in these team fights to make up for his team's deficits in the last couple of games. And Blade the Ranking Ash just can't do that. Yes, it's Reject coming out and building the BF sword early. It means that you do have a bit more poke damage on stuff like your volley. It means that your early game damage definitely goes up through the roof too on that 1-item spike.
Steel did
actually, that's actually not true. Blade is a really good 1-item spike. It's just nice. It gives you crit, gives you CDR. You know how it is.
It's pretty nice stuff. It does more damage, but DFM don't care about the control ward in here. They're moving straight over to the early dragon, and they've won every game. They've managed to take the first Drake, which is probably quite telling. But here comes V3. Teleport's coming in as well. Seros is around, but he's going to be a little late. Steel trying to get the dragon, get out. And C9 throws that sign out. Utapon is going to be around. Steel gets over the wall, and V3 cannot contest. Teleport burned, and they get nothing for it. Now, Ebby gets time alone with this top lane turret. That's frustrating for V3.
That's the kind of time where I wish that plants had emotes when you hit them, because it just spam the DFM logo as the blast cone gets Steel to safety. They get the dragon. Magical Journey is very, very valuable in that play. Ebby is still alone on the top side. Paz teleported down, is recalling now. He's going to be he's given up so much for this. That is so unfortunate for V3. They tried to make themselves a game-defining play, and instead they put themselves in a deficit.
Ace with no mana chunked out here as well as Seros gets to get a bit of a shove in. And, you know, that was the back that Zoe got earlier with her teleport was for Doran's ring. Seros was in that fight. He had himself a lost chapter, and he didn't even need to use it.
DFM have been using their reset timings much better than V3 have right now, particularly, of course, in regards to that mid lane. And yeah, no, Paz is going to go back to lane with that Bilgewater Cutlass. He's going to be up against the Phage and the Ruby Crystal of Ebby. It's not completed items yet, but Phage in lane is actually very important. It means that you can start spacing out autos better. You know that old meme of a Piglet in the NALCS? It's like, wow, this guy's auto spacing is so good. It's a genuine thing. It's about knowing how to backstep to keep out of range of certain things, whilst also keeping in range of your own damage too. The Phage with the extra movement speed when you auto attack does definitely help to that regard.
You can see, though, that while DFM managed to contest for those early river fights and get yourself the early Drake, Caitlin's not actually up in CS right now and hasn't been able to get to the plates quite yet. Still a few minutes on that, but speaking of plates and their potential acquisition, V3 are very swift to get onto this Rift Herald, and they've got 4 members around to make sure that DFM can't come and stop them.
Yeah, they're gonna looking for an investment in crockery. No, those demolition industries. You know, crockery is the new business of choice.
Why crockery?
Because plates.
Oh. Took me a moment. I'm there. I was subtle.
It's
okay.
okay.
Subtle as a bull in a china shop.
Ask, you know, actually, I was gonna say, you know, bull in a china shop. There was a Mythbusters episode on that. Bulls are actually very careful of the surroundings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't.
Don't knock a lot of us.
Yeah, when they're like slightly angry and stuff, they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna run through the gap because there's a gap.
Okay.
They're actually very, very logical about things.
Paz taking a really rough trade here, but there comes the
like a
Dominus.
Crocodile on a top lane.
Manages to use the Meganar to pop him out. Dominus is down for Paz, and he's very low on this HP bar. Ebby, if he starts landing some boomerangs here, could start threatening something. He's got Flash, he's got Hop.
Does.
Could be a bit risky.
Remember, Nice had a pretty large buff in terms of the attack speed he gets from that E. He gets 40%. It's huge. Paz is gonna have the empowered Q to heal up off of this wave. He does get it, and that's why Renekton's so strong in lane.
Boogie is around with himself the Rift Herald. We've got a little bit of a buffer on our end, so we'll see what's actually going on in a second. I'm sure we'll be back in just a moment. Until such a time, I've got a grey screen, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, very helpful.
Dun, 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 dun. It's don't know what happened.
No one died.
No one died. That's great. Rift Herald
see.
1 summoned either. Ace in the mid lane is throwing a battle star, but that's all we can see right now. And there we go. We're back. Fantastic news.
Yeah, this is just the nature of the bootleg broadcast.
Indeed.
And thank you very much for bearing with us during this trying time. Don't have an egg to offer you during this trying time. We do have some.
Where did that come from?
Just Always Sunny.
Always Sunny. Okay. I never actually watched all that much.
That. You know what? That's fine. That's okay. But it does have some very choice references.
It does. I know some of them. Like I know like some of like I remember like the Dennis systems. Yes, I've seen that episode.
Good.
Kind of thing.
Well, we're looking for something a little bit more involved than that. Some kind of macro which does not just conform to the letters of Dennis. We do have a blue buff being given over to Ace in that middle lane, who is still...
Tempered Fate lands onto Archer. He didn't flash, but that is now the flash after which he misses the arrow that the exhaust is down. That will be the ace of the whole block. But he takes a lot of damage. Does escape, but there's going to be a big siege onto this turret.
Good guy, Boogie. Flash should run of Archer, even though the spear was off target. He was trying to judge that. And remember in game number 1, where the fights were getting really, really close and Rhino didn't quite manage to save his AD carry? Boogie taking no chances. I appreciate you, Boogie.
Well done there. DFM don't burn all that much in the way of summers to do that, and the bot lane of V3 is down all of them, and Utapon will claim a second plate here. That's feeling a little bit better for Caitlyn.
It is, and you've managed to force the Ashe out of lane as well, so it means that the XP will keep rolling in your favor, already level 7 to level 6. Boogie looking to cancel some backs, though. Utapon has no mana. He is just going to take one auto attack. Oh, Boogie. Oh, he's just being so irritating.
Knocks off the shrines there as well on the way. And actually, that's going to mean that Caitlyn might be a little late to this Mountain Dragon spawn because her back was delayed so much.
Maybe 20 seconds. That's actually a very good point. We were talking about DFM using their resets better for that first dragon, using it for the first river fight too. DFM now will have to play without that AD carry here for the initial spawn of this dragon.
In trouble.
Gang is in trouble. He's not popular.
Yeah, doesn't manage to get his way. It still had flash. Still, I don't think a magical jump. But Ace now is in a spot to bother himself. Doesn't get pounced on. That will be the sleep that lands on Osiris, but he shuffles away. It's not game 3 Tokyo Drift, but that'll have to be a game 4 option.
And he shuffles away. Shuffle.
Indeed. But V3 here haven't started the Drake. Steel will spot it, but they're waiting in the bush. They want to see if they can catch someone out. Steel as around. Utapon is clearing the wave out in bot, but V3 holding court in this river. That is the
starts again.
Lands. Could be in trouble. I think Saros has gone forwards for that. He shouldn't have done it. He falls down. First blood, despite all the summoner losses, goes the way of V3 here, and they'll get priority around this Drake.
We'd asked Ace to step up in this game. That's one thing that was really big to us. Ace was not affecting the game he needed to be, but he lands about 3 sleeps in a row onto Azir, and it nets his team the kill. V3 are not going towards the dragon, though. They've ended up giving up a pink ward on their. Reiner is now out of sorts, has the Hex Flash, but he's in a bit of danger.
And remember, there's still teleport on Ceros. He gets so low. Steel turns it straight back, and now the Temper Fate comes up. Marchu doesn't get to step far enough away, but here comes the teleport for Ceros, who's like, I am ready to come. That is the Azir round, looking for the shuffle round behind. He does find the big shuffle onto Buki, who goes down. Ace has to flash it out. Archer stays alive, but DFM say, yeah, you pick me up, but watch this. Now Archer, under the turret, is inches away from death. Ace is still around, worth pointing out, and here comes the teleport. Magical Journey comes through. Steel, are you sure, buddy? Flash Cosmic Binding claims the life of the AD carry, but now Paz roaming forward, looking to get something. Ebby still has teleport, hasn't used it yet. Ace is around, and that dragon is still around. Steel flashes away. Well played by the jungler, but Ace is still a threat on this Zoe.
He is, and V3 uncharacteristically just completely misjudge where they are as a team. They are not on the same page. They don't stick around for the dragon. And then Reiner is caught out without something like a Kalista ult to save him. Doesn't have a flash either. He goes down for free, and then Archer is left alone under the turret. V3, who had such a hard-earned first blood, give up 3 kills in a row, but at least they get themselves their first dragon.
I think they're going to lose first turret as a result, because Ebby was just on the turret that entire time. Let's look at this replay one more time. DFM don't have that much vision in this river.
No, they have it just on the fringes, but not the full point. Saros tries to shuffle forwards, trying to at least get the shield from that shifting sands. It doesn't end up getting away from the sleep, and the pick is good. So, okay, they have the numbers advantage. But then Ace recalls on vision. There's a pink ward there, and that means that DFM know that they have the numbers advantage. Reiner is on the completely wrong side of this wall. And this is what I'm saying. They're not on the same page. If Reiner doesn't walk up there, they get to use that numbers advantage to their own gain. And Saros is then alive to teleport back into the fight. That's a really good shuffle. It just gets right behind the both and forces out the flash from Ace 2. He can't turn around any of that damage. And that's what we're saying. You know, just V3 not really judging the situation as well as we'd come to expect this team from the regular season.
The Cloud Soul once again if a team can get towards it, but it's a Drake apiece. First turret has gone the way of DFM, and Ebby is miles ahead of this particular one. But the Ash Arrow coming through. It's on to Gang again, who's very low, but Pookie takes a lot of damage as well. Ace goes through, doesn't quite get the kill, and Gang survives. Now Ace is in a spot of bother, but he is out lot burn from V3, but he just don't have the damage right now. And this Gnar all the while has just been pushing away. He's so strong.
Ebby has just been AFK in a side lane, and that's been fine. He's got himself the entirety of that top lane turret. I'm not sure how many of those were plates. I can't remember exactly.
4 of them.
All 4. Okay, 4 of them, not the 5th one. Okay, so what we saw there in the mid lane was a bit of a disconnect once again. The Lilia Sleep came down, and I believe just a small instance of damage came in very shortly after the CC. They didn't get the full duration of it, so the next instance of damage was not there in time. So Gang gets out alive, and it's again a lot of resources committed by V3 for no real gain, but at least at this time, they get themselves the bot lane out of turret. Archer gets himself some gold.
Okay, Boogie going in for an invade again onto this red buff, but Utapon is now in mid lane. They're going to start shoving up. And Caitlyn begins
it's the Caitlyn thing.
Yes, you can see that there is some pressure going on this bot side. But remember, Steel, I believe, has a Rift Herald in inventory at some point. Got to be a little bit scared. Red buff is gone. Now you Steel, like, wise. You can strap down. See, there is a control ward there. Boogie will walk his way out of the jungle. You can see where the leads are. It's a slight one in the jungle.
That sleep is so close.
Sleep was very close. Now Utapon's actually in a spot above, though. Has got to get his way out, but has got himself enough of a heal from the shrines to keep himself okay. Paz is around, but he's going to be on vision. Potentially Gang has got the magical journey. Utapon will get through, avoids the arrow and the swell seed, and flashes away. V3 were looking so hard for that. Don't land it. Now Reiner's in a lot of bother himself.
And again, V3 just don't calculate correctly. There's a bard. They're next to a wall. The magical journey is going to come out. Congrats to Gang. You know, obviously, like, all praise to him. He uses it very well. But V3 have to know it's coming. You cannot end up CC chaining when they have that much mobility. It's well played by DFM, but V3 still looking out of sorts.
Kind of got not very many ultimates available. The Rift Herald will come through. It's not quite the turret, but Ebby gets massive shock. That's the Temper Fate that has to be flashed forward one from Boogie. He does get out, but it was very close, and the turret in mid lane falls, which is a massive coup for DFM.
It is. Oh my word, Sam. DFM have themselves an advantage.
Oh,
they have themselves a 2-1 lead. This is game point for them. V3, they finished first in the regular season, but Boogie's caught out.
He is. There's a Mega Gnar available. Boogie steps the other way. That was well played, but now here comes Gang. Boogie's got no flash. Reiner's around trying to body block for his jungler. DFM 1-4. That's Saros going for it onto the Nautilus, but that's the turret going up, and the Depth charge is going to mean nothing at all. The jungler survives, but that is back to the depths for you, Odiver man.
Reiner tries to spare the blushes of Boogie, ends up dying for his jungler. A noble cause, if any, but another kill to DFM. Who can stop the boys in blue? They are so strong in this game. They are the royalty of the LJL. They're coming to go to reclaim their seat on the throne.
They're up 3,500 gold here. They've got 2 turrets to 1. It's a Drake to a Drake. And there are options here for V3. Don't get me wrong. We've seen what Ace can do if he hits the right things. This Lilia is still potentially terrifying. Ashe is going a damage build, but they are still behind. It's already an item and a half for Caitlyn. Nash is in for this Azir, and this Gnar, who stands against him in the side lane?
And this is the thing, right? The DFM are playing very well around capitalizing on plays and mistakes when they are shown. V3 therefore have to make the first shot in each kind of confrontation really count for something. The first sleep bubble has to land. The first swirl seed into Lilia ult has to land and find things, because if they don't, they lose so much on the other side of the map. Right here,
Tempered Fate flashed away from. The moment you speak about it, it's trouble. Ebby's not even teleporting. He's just walking behind. The magical journey's coming through. Gang's going forward. That's pretty deep, Gang. Are you sure? Steel's here as well. The Ashe arrow comes onto the Nidalee, who's going to get out. Okay, Seros around, but Ebby now in a bit of an awkward spot.
Where's Paz?
Is going to get chunked out. Paz is not here. He's teleporting in.
Away.
But he's massive away. But wait, the damage is massive. Seros so low, and V3 have got 1 already. Ace is pretty low. It's the heal from Archer to get forward. Utapod in trouble. Remember, he has got cleanse, but no. Flash, the cleanse comes out. Now Ryder's in trouble, but Paz is going to find a massive flank. EFM have stepped too far. And V3 have found the fight.
Oh, and still just gets away. No flash committed from Ace. He's going to try and get the sleep. He has it!
It's not enough damage yet, but here comes the Renekton. Shut down onto that particular carry. Ace will survive from the ace in the hole. TFM were looking for it. That magical journey was so ill-advised.
And this was a fight where Paz teleported like a full mile away from the fight. V3 find themselves the fight nonetheless. We were asking for it, asking them to make the first shot on target, make sure that they weren't losing too much on the other side of the map. And credit to them, they have found it. They have ended up evening up some of this gold lead, and this is how it happened. Starts off with, once again, a Tempered Fate, not hitting, but forcing out a flash out of Archer, and a flash away from the AD carry so they can't reposition within a fight is normally very important. And Gang goes in pretty deep. Reiner isn't focused down. Utapon takes a long time to start following up. He has not fired a single auto at this point. That's 1 auto. He's fired 1 auto this entire fight, and then Seros has already been CC'd, and he's pretty much just out of this fight now. 1 more volley comes through, and he dies. We then see Nap's teleport has finally come in. There's a numbers advantage. It doesn't matter that Ace is low HP, because he's just going to be at a range where he won't be finished off. Paz then gets into the backline, and that's where things get really scary, but Steel at least does a good attempt to try and elongate the fight and very nearly gets out.
And just out of vision. Well played by Ace there. We asked for his Zoe to be pretty damn good. It's been pretty damn good. DFM still have the gold advantage, but they lose a second Drake. And that's a heartening play for V3. And Archer, now at 3-1-1, 2 items in, definitely got himself to a point where he's pretty terrifying.
So this is a Cloud Rift. V3 have themselves 10% ultimate cooldown reduction right now, and I think that's pretty important for them. You have an Ashe ult, which is going to be used for a lot of picks, and we've seen the sleeps from both Lilia and Zoe lead into that Ashe ult. Of course, the Lilia ult being very beneficial for V3 to have more cooldown reduction on too. So this is still something that they wanted to play around. The Cloud Soul and the extra movement speed, not necessarily the best thing for V3. It's not the Infernal Soul that they had in game 1. Still something they will take nonetheless, and Dragons have often been where the fights have happened that end the game. Ace is matching up with Seros in the top lane.
He is. There's not a lot of vision for V3 necessarily in the river on the top side, but they have got a fair few pink wards around the bot. But they're not really using it right now. It's about a 2,000 gold lead for DFM, but that's shrunk by about a third at the end of that fight, and V3 secured the dragon as well. They ain't done yet, guys. That's fantastic news for us in this series. We want that game 5. We want V3 to prove their regular season dominance. Was worth something. And you can see it's going to be a Morello's second here for the Zoe, which Ashe ult coming out does land onto Gang, but I don't think they can punish it super hard.
Wait, they're teleporting. They're going for this.
Teleporting.
Oh, it's Aces, all right.
Okay, they're not going to find all that much. The arrow comes out, and Ebby on the side gets another turret. And this is the issue, is that while, yeah, the team fight went well the last time, this Gnar is so hard to deal with, and you're sieging into a Caitlyn who is pretty damn good at wave clearing anyway.
At least you have a lot of wave clear on the Ashe, has that Runaan's Hurricane now, But every time you make these plays, like we've been saying, Ebby is getting something on the sideline. It doesn't have to be Ebby. It's just whoever is in the sideline at the time, whether it's Seros or someone else. This time, it's going to be the play failed by V3, and it's going to be a wave shoved in. Next time, it might be the turret.
We've had these concerns about DFM sometimes, where they go a little deep when they feel they have the mid-game advantage. It happened again this time. They've been cleaning it up as of late.
DFM, when they have a 3,000 gold advantage, feel that they're in the lead and take a fight to close the game.
The MLXG meme is a strong one. Still going to walk up here, but the rest of V3 do not want to give up the Skull Crab. And they're saying, nope, you can't have it. And they've got hard enough engaged that Steel feels he really can't. They've shoved the wave in bot side up to the tier 2, though, and Paz will have to go and collect it. All right, let's check in. Utapon has got to a second item. He's got himself the rapid fire cannon. Seros isn't at his second item yet, which is fairly big, and there's no Athenes completed on Steel quite yet either. The Leandries, though, that is complete for Boogie.
Yeah, we checked in with Archer's items before, but Boogie, we've seen how much damage he's done in the previous games on this magical dream fawn centaur thing, and has the items to now start really threatening the Caitlyn. You know, Caitlyn is not going for anything like a Phantom Dancer, which you wouldn't expect out of the champion at this point in the game anyway, but has 0 HP. Also has a cleanse instead of a heal, so the margin of error for Utapon in terms of the HP that he can use within a fight, not particularly high. However, he does have the Nidalee with the Athenes helping him along that way.
All right, Mikhail on Gang is going to be pretty huge as well. There is a lot of summoners up for pretty much everybody, honestly. Arch has managed to reclaim his flash. It'll be just over 30 seconds before Cloud Drake number 2 comes live, and that will be third Drake overall for V3 if they can secure it.
V3 are fishing. Of course, they do have a lot of pick tools. Nautilus, Hook, the various sleeps. Swirl Seed coming in.
Tempered Fate's huge! It's on to 2. Ace is now in trouble. He's used the barrier, but it's actually during the Tempered Fate. The Ash Arrow is cleansed away from an Ace. Goes down. Steel gets knocked up. Will go down. But now Paz is stuck under turret, trying to get as much damage as he can, and that's the soldier coming through. The damage, though, is just massive. And V3 win the fight, even though Ace gets picked off.
It looks like it's going to be, at the end of this, a 4-for-1. Only Ebby surviving, has his Mega Gnar, but importantly didn't have it before the fight started. No disengage from the huge Gnar. What happened was the Tempered Fate baited DFM to close the distance with V3. Paz and Boogie go on an absolute rampage, and Ash turns out has quite a lot of damage with this build.
Well, they're going to move straight over to this Baron. And you can see it's already just about dead. Paz, though, is about an inch away from dead himself. But while this still been going on, you can see Gnar on the mini-map has gone to take down that Cloud Dragon, so it will not be Cloud Soul Point, at least, unless Ace can get there to contest.
Okay, let's have a look-see. Sorry, guys, once again, for the buffering. This is the nature of the bootleg broadcast,
it is.
But of course, we enjoy it all the same. Part and parcel with the casting dream. It's how we start off. So now V3 have themselves the Baron. They have themselves a kill lead. They have themselves that power play to work around, and they've reset for a handful of components towards their next items.
And we're going to go through this replay and see what we can get from it. So, the Tempered Fate looked great. The barrier from Ace wasn't fantastic, and yet still they get baited in and lose this one. Take me through it, Nightmare.
Okay, Tempered Fate, let's see what happens here. So Archer gets himself away from the fight, and Utapon immediately cleanses. Good Captain Jack, but then Boogie and Paz just get absolutely stuck in things. The sleep comes down, and that means that the depth charge just does so much damage going through the entire team. Another thing which goes very well for them. They get maximum value out of a large amount of team fight tools in this fight, and of course they blow so many. In fact, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 summoners used by DFM, even in the losing fight.
That's a rough one. Seros finally has himself a second item. And yeah, this Gnar is really strong, but he's got a ton of help to defend here against this Baron shove. There's a lot of standing gold for V3 to collect. They've only got the 1 turret thus far.
They do, so this means that they can maybe push in and try and get it to the mid lane outer turret. I think we're trying to slowly shift over to another player, seeing if we can help on that internet. But right now, all we have is an hourglass on our screen.
It's a great hourglass. Maybe that's the Zonya's hourglass.
Oh, that'll be it. Yeah,
that's it. And we're back through. Paz has now got it. He's finding a bit of a trade onto Ebby. It's pretty damn good, actually.
Owie.
Gets a big shove in.
Actually,
Boogie roaming around. V3 are looking for this Gnar. Arrow comes out. Does not get hit. There's still a hop. There is no flash.
Tempered
Fate was huge. Now V3 have gone too deep. That's massive onto Boogie, who goes down. Mega Gnar as well. That has to be flashed away from Ace. And the turnaround from DFM is pretty strong, but they still leave the top net in tier 2.
They do. I believe actually we're currently on screen right now. So you
Ah.
can say hello to us. How's it
Hi,
going?
guys.
Unfortunately, we can't actually mime out what's happening on the screen. I don't have that many limbs. I can't do the whole familiar thing.
I don't know. I could that would be Meganar, wouldn't it? So that's what happened. There was a Meganar on.
Okay,
Boogie,
cool.
And, he went down.
And Boogie did go down.
Yes.
They are still sieging in with 4 members onto the top lane in a turret. They will back off. There's only 40 seconds left on that Baron buff, and they don't want to chance a team fight.
No, they don't. And right now, you can see 2 items has been completed.
Well, they can't see that. So they're still seeing this.
I can tell you.
Oh, no, we're back.
There we are back. Fantastic. What a hope. That's the way it is. Such is life. Oh, my days. Well, there you go. That's what we get for bootleg broadcasting as we are. The gold lead has swung now in V3's favor. They do get some stuff off the Baron buff. It's not the biggest shove ever. They don't break the inner turrets, but that has put them wildly in control of this one. There's Ashe, for example, 4-1 and 4-3 items complete. Is a terror.
That is 100%. That's almost 100% crit. I believe that's 90% crit built.
Arrow coming down. Seros in trouble, but is avoided.
Yeah, he ain't in no trouble. Smooth operator is Seros. Calm and collected. Just sidestep. Doesn't need to use any of his mobility spells. We have ourselves no Ashe ults and no fight just yet.
And it's been these team fights. The fact that V3 have the initiation tools and DFM don't really have a front line has been a little problematic. And we're going to see what goes on as DFM have started up a little bit of a bush bait, but they're still going to be struggling to get vision because V3 have littered their red side jungle with wards.
Have done, and we know that V3 have typically been quite attentive towards their vision play. Oh, that's a big long range sleep.
But that's a great temper fate in response. Now Ace is in trouble as well. The teleport coming through, but that would be Paz in the middle of everybody. Ebby's in a bit of an awkward spot, not quite a Meganar, and he's going to try and hop away. That's a good shunt in, but Ebby goes down as well. It'll be top laner for top laner, surely. But Paze is so alive somehow, some way. What on earth? That is really rough for DFM, who can't quite secure the kill despite a great shuffle from Zeros. Ebby caught out on the wrong side.
Looks like a great tempered fate until you realize your AD carry's been CC'd up by that sleep. It doesn't get popped, so it is the full duration of that CC. And he's like, Youthbot is not there to follow up. And he's a lot of DFM's damage right now. Another sleep lands. Ace is hitting all of these.
He is. It's going to be the Ashe arrow onto Gang, but no one there to follow up. Paz, all the while, has managed to get back down to this bot side and is attacking this turret. Renekton working out pretty well in this game, survived long enough there to turn that one around. And once again, DFM losing a fight in there. Well, honestly, when they look to try and turn around themselves.
Okay. So, there's no Baron now. There is no Dragon just yet. There's 30 seconds to wait for that. And that's why we're seeing resets coming out of V3. Paz has himself no TP. We will have Home Guard to get back into the fray quickly. Ace is really, really trying to carry his team this game. We've had questions about Zoe in the past. We've often called him a player which has not managed to make the big plays we really want to see from him. But this game in the finals, the biggest stage he has been on in quite some time, he's actually showing up. He's really showing up. And that fight started with his bubble.
It did, and also Ebby once again out of fight without Meganar. He is really necessary, and it's not happened. At least this time the rage bars.
It's not a consistent front line, and DFM are struggling to play around that. V3 on the other side are very much capitalizing.
And they're finding great temper fates, but then they're walking into the likes of a Nautilus and a Renekton. Pretty happy about that, frankly. Renekton off vision right now, but DFM have got a fairly good cordon, so they should spot it out as it comes around. Ebby's Meganar about to wear out.
The vision
that could be fairly
toggle
huge.
is showing us that Paz is currently unseen. He's not walked over any of the wards. There are a lot around DFM's red side of the jungle, so if he were to walk up even further, he would be seen. Now with that blast plant pop, they probably know just by context that he would be there. And now we have posturing once more.
That's a tempered fate. Boogie gets caught even with the flash, but that's an arrow in response. Boogie gets to walk away. That will be some chunks out. That's a big hook onto Seros. Now he's in trouble. Has got the Empress divided. Buys time, buys space, but it's not really used for damage. Ults used across the board, but DFM is saying, screw that, Cloud Drake, we can't get there, we'll go. But DFM will go to the Baron and force you up here to fight with this. That's a Dominus running for Paz, actually. That's going to be down as well. Meganar up, nearly up for Ebby again.
What it does mean is Paz has his full rage bar. 2 enhanced abilities coming out. Archer is seen here by Ebby. This is huge.
Yes, it's pretty massive. Archer is spotted. Takes a lot of damage. Utapon stepping forward. Flash, but he has to flash out in return. And Gang now very low. Steel very low. DFM so very low, but now Paz gets Meganar and goes down this time. Shut down onto the Azir. Azir, Ace has got a flash, but Utapon wants to find more, but he's in a very awkward spot. Flash in for the root, but that's the cleanse as well. Utapon goes down, but it's traded back. Seros gets that one as well, 1-for-1. But the AD carry of DFM is dead. 2 kills overall for DFM, though, is pretty good news. They've just not got a lot of health bars.
Not sure they can start the Baron without the Caitlyn. Azir has great Baron damage, but if you end up getting corralled into Ashe and Lilia doing that damage from a safe range, it is not a fight you particularly want to chance. What this will mean, V3 will take themselves their 3rd Dragon of the game, that 2nd Cloud Drake, and make sure that they are on Cloud Soul Point, but the Baron is still up for contestation.
Oh, man alive. That got very close. You can see Utapon see the game in his eyes there. Was looking to fire over the wall, but the fact the flash came up for Nautilus was massive. Let's see this fight again.
Boogie ends up getting caught by the Tempered Fate. These have often been what sets the tone of the fight, we shall say. Seros has to burn his ult early too, and suddenly two of the bigger ways you can split a fight from DFM are down. So this is when the fight starts again in earnest. They don't really have that same ability to deny V3 their damage in these fights. Reiner walks up pretty far, trying to dodge out on the hook, and then Utapon goes to town, but he doesn't finish off anyone. Boogie's low, but he's just not low enough. Then Paz takes a magical journey through to Narnia, and really wishes he didn't.
Utapon's thinking, if I can kill off the jungler, we can win this off, but that flash from Reiner was so big. Still, obviously, was a trade 1-for-1, but it does save the Baron, which would absolutely be DFM's next call. They ain't done with this game yet, even if some of these mid-game plays have very much been going the way of V3. Swellseed goes wide, but this is what late-game Lilia does. Just keep going bowling and hope you hit, and when you've got sleeps from Zoe as well, this combo is so hard. Steel does get McHale'd. He's fine. Ebby's got Mega Gnar coming up. Ace takes a bit of a chunk. That is the Tempered Fate onto Ace, but they can't get a lot from it. Reiner stepping forward. The Empress Divide doesn't really do all that much. Now, DFM caught on the wrong side of the jungle. But that's Dominance Burn from Paz as well. That's pretty big. Ebby looking maybe over the wall. Reiner pretty low. Bubble misses again. But it doesn't matter if all of these ones miss. It's the ones that hit that hurt. That's the Lilting Olivia onto Steel, who goes golden, but they can't find a lot. It's a sleep onto Gang as well. Magical Journey across Paz is around. Seros flashing. He's not going to get out. Ebby goes down, and DFM are caught out in no man's land again. Reiner is there. Shot out is Archer, who gets onto Gang. The Archer going wild in the back end. Utapon is here, doing as much damage as he can, but it's just so much damage, so many slows, and not enough HP. The hook lands, and DFM lose the fight that will lose them the game, you feel. It's 4 for none, and V3 have their eyes set on Baron.
We've seen 2 games in a row where V3 couldn't find the clean team fights. They didn't have the consistent damage coming out of Archer. Everyone was fighting in a desperation attempt to save the game. This is not the case in this one. V3 have stabilized, found themselves at a point in the game where they are happy to fight around their 4-item Ashe. Archer has turned up in game 4, and it is none too soon because their backs were against the wall. It was 2 championship points for DFM. It still is. This game is still going, but V3 are in control.
They have 6,000 gold advantage. They have themselves a Baron buff. They have themselves Cloud Soul Point. DFM aren't out of it yet. They've got a few items on some pretty scary carries. Seros doesn't have his Banshee's Veil pop. That's pretty great news. And V3 aren't going to get teleported on, though the Observer did highlight a ward that was in the lane there. We're going to get a replay to see what happened here. If he gets Mega Gnar, and then that just doesn't really get to do much.
Once again, we see Tempered Fate and the Emperor's Divide being used right at the start of the fight, which means that when the fight is engaged again, DFM don't really get a choice of where they're fighting and who they disengage. We've got to watch what happens with all of the CC. The McHale's was used earlier, and the sleeps land first onto Steel, who stopwatches, and then onto Gang, who has to teleport away. They just have to, and then look at this point, because you tunnel away, you split off from Seros, you split up from your front line. No one is really backing each other up, and the split fight goes the way of V3, who do have a lot of damage at this point in the game, because Boogie, Archer, and Ace are all pulling their weight right now.
That is what we wanted to see. This is the first game where I feel that Ace has been a monumental impact. He's hit so much stuff, and yeah, there's a lot of bubbles that aren't hitting, but it doesn't matter because he hits enough. And like that's the point at this point in the game. You just throw them out, and with the swell seeds as well, a bit like that, you can start catching people out, and you get to pick when you engage. And DFM are a lot more gated. Ashe Arrow does get cleansed away from, but they just need to burn some more. There is a QSS in inventory for Utapon as well. That means he's got cleanse, QSS, and potential McHale's as well to try and keep himself free. Tempered Fate misses. Boulder Toss also going wide, and DFM are holding on against the Baron buff best they can, but it's about the best they can do right now.
is Ace is fishing. He keeps throwing out the bubbles, and at level 17, very low cooldown with the blue buff of 40% CDR. Paz, instead of Ebby for the first time in this game, is the one in the side lane pushing. Has himself 3 items himself, 2, 1, and 6. A much better game himself compared to that Ornn and the Gangplank.
So there is still a fair amount of wave clear from DFM between Nazir, Caitlyn. Nars not bad on the side lane. Paz might be in a bit of trouble here. Can't tell as we hit a bit of an hourglass one more time. We'll find out how Paz is doing. Gang coming forward. That will be the Dominus popped, but Ebby not far away from Mega Nard. Now Paz gets Mega Nard, will go down, and that will be the top laner dead before the Baron buff is over, before the Cloud Drake spawns as well. V3 try to get onto this mid lane inhibitor turret and can't quite do it.
Yeah,
DFM
is
in a bit of trouble. He is in a spot, but that's a great Ash Arrow though, and Seros goes down. He was looking for the shuffle, but there was no cleanse available, and that means he goes up at Ebby in the backline trying to get something more, but V3 have turned it around. They've already got 2 kills. Utapod in trouble. He's got cleanse, can't get out. He goes down as well. It's a double for Ace. Steal under turret, and Ebby teleported around the back and can't get it. Ace is going to pick up this kill, not before Steel gets to hop away, and Ebby here trying to buy time, trying to cut the wave because they've got 2 members versus 4, and they want to try and end it here. It's still 30 seconds on Seros. It's a sleep again onto Ebby, who flashes, goes golden.
Oh,
it's a shutdown onto Ace. The Steel goes down as well. Not quite the Mega Nut. It's almost there. It's going to come up, but they've got enough. The turret is coming down. Buki hops away, but guess what? Into the fountain will still go down, and V3 aren't done yet. They will move us to Silver Scrapes.
Game 5 beckons, and though Utavon had a QSS, a cleanse, and a Mikhail's, you can't cleanse death. The Nexus falls, we are all square, and how else could it end? We've got drama, we've got all the magic here, we have a Game 5.
It was 2 games in a row where DFM looked clean, but this one, after a strong start, ends up in V3's favour. We're going to Silver Scrapes. Before that, we've got an analyst desk. Go nowhere, because this just got interesting.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. You're clear. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial, bringing you coverage of the LJL 2020 Summer Finals. Gentlemen, Silver Scrapes is upon us, 2 for 2, and I asked V3 if you want us to get excited, we're gonna need to see a win from here. Well, gentlemen, welcome to the desk. Where are we now with the 2 teams?
So, some way through Game 3, I kind of thought, all right, if I'm going to 3-1 this, all right, they're kind of back. V3 aren't looking very good.
Yeah.
And honestly, early stages of this game, I was also thinking V3 are kind of out of sorts. They don't fight like this normally. They are not on the same page. This is not the V3 we know from the regular split. But then we kind of saw the switch turned on. They finally started getting all the cylinders starting to fire a bit more in synchronicity. And made it interesting. They have brought us to Game 5.
Yeah, I think that is part of it, right? There was so many tools to start a fight, and V3 looked so much more comfortable with it.
And with that said, the players on the side of V3 seeming more confident. Let's highlight Ace, because this is a man who has been rather quiet so far in this series. Game 1, he was fine, but nothing stand out worthy. This time, he got the Zoe, which has been kept away from him a little bit, finally gets it, and then pops off and has maybe one of the best games he's had of his professional career. And what a time to have it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the fact that he hits these mid-game fights, is hitting sleeps blind through walls, and that was kind of the deal, right? V3 had so much non-committal CC. They had swell seeds and trouble bubbles, and the Ash Arrow even at this point becomes non-committal because you just see whether you can burn something. You've got Nautilus, and the fact that Ace could just pick and choose and hit the key targets when it matters was so big.
Yeah, it really was huge, and that double sleep combo did definitely prove to be necessarily useful, because who needs to stun people when you sleep them? That's from range. It's way better, mate. It's better than Leona. You don't have to go into their face. Nah, from range.
Yeah. No, I really like the combo with V3. I mean, so on paper, you look at V3's comp, you're like,
it's a bit all over the place.
Yeah. Like, they're not really, a lot of the champions want to do different things, but they do have a lot of ways, like Sam's saying, to have that non-committal CC, where you can just play this very wait-and-see style, where you wait for that one CC to land, and they did that so well post 25 odd minutes, and that's what eventually led to their win.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, 25 minutes hit and Renekton turned on. Paz had a disappointing early game, but the second when you got to mid-game, Renekton spike at 20-25 minutes. Then V3 turn it around.
That's late game Renekton. He's a hyper carry.
Oh, okay. Wrong Renekton. Oh, my apologies. I thought it was a different crocodile on the Rift. He was on a toy form. How could I know? How could I have known? That just shows, though, even with Ebby having a really strong early game, DFM pulling ahead a little bit in the early game.
Yeah.
Weren't able to actually close this out, and V3, specifically Ace, were highlighting, but all members, Archer was landing really important hooks. Reiner was that flash to get in front to prevent Archer from dying. And then they get a kill. They trade 1-for-1 as well. That was one of those moments.
Trading your life late game for the ADC is almost always worth it. Maybe sometimes when you're a jungler, you can question that. But, you know, when you're the support and your AD carry is still alive,
it's kind of your job.
Stop DFM going for the dragon after that play descended, right?
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for DFM here. Like, you could see they're landing some good you could see they were landing some good tempered fates and stuff, but they could never step forward because they're stepping into so much CC with squishy members. Renekton and Nautilus are always a frontline. They just get to be better frontlines when they've got Gargoyle, Stormblade, or Dominus. Nah isn't. Neither is Bard. Unless you've got Mega Gnar available,
maybe
that's
he
your
should
only
go back
option.
to that Paladin.
And you could see DFM were really struggling to find the windows to engage because V3 just refused to fight when Mega Gnar was around.
They refused to fight. They played patiently, and especially when there's a bar above you which says, I'm about to pop off, or I'm not going to pop off. V3 were just patient, and we've seen this patience from this team before. It looks like they've reset their mental and that they're back on to the form that we expect from them. Gentlemen, Silver Scrapes, our finals has gone to the full 5 games, as both of you had predicted. Will V3 reign victorious, gentlemen? Or will Detonation FocusMe close it out? What is your thoughts right now this second, outside of a stroke?
My thoughts are,
not like this!
No, it's so hard to call, right? Because V3 have been quite on and off, even within the games. We saw that last game, right? I mean, but then also game 1 was quite good for
really
them.
Good.
The fight was very clean. DFM probably have the edge in the consistency, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Sure.
And maybe that will be what ends up winning them this series. It's hard to tell. Really, really hard to tell.
Initialize?
My thoughts before the series would have been V3, but my problem is I'm seeing in-game more consistency. I mean, like, even in the losses, they are scrapping harder, making it harder for V3.
Does it change the fact that then now that V3 have side choice the last game?
Yeah, double back-to-back blue side wins, back-to-back red side wins. Now V3 back on blue side. they get pick and ban selection. They can plan out to their heart's content. Who knows? Maybe they're going to last pick Zoe for Ace because they're going to do an Arya CGA draft now on red side. Who would know? I'm too scared to even throw a prediction out now because I just don't know. It could go either way, and this series has proven to be the true finals that we really did deserve. The best two teams rose to the top, and what a series we've been given. Though, we're going to go on a short break. We're going to be playing some Silver Scrapes, ladies and gentlemen. Of course we are. And after that break, we'll be bringing you the final match of Detonation FocusMe facing off against V3 Esports. Don't go anywhere.